All right, let's go to the next one. Some Twitter files actually broke last night, given over to Alex Berenson at his Substack. So let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. The headline from Alex is, quote, "From the Twitter files, Pfizer board member Scott Gottlieb secretly pressed Twitter to hide posts challenging his company's massively profitable COVID jabs. To funnel his demands, Gottlieb used the same Twitter lobbyists that the White House did, fresh evidence of an overlap between the company selling the mRNA shots and the government forcing them on the public. What he specifically points to is that Dr. Scott Gottlieb, who previously headed the FDA under Donald Trump and then later became a director on the board of Pfizer, saw a tweet that he didn't like, and that tweet explained specifically about natural immunity after COVID infection was at the time being litigated as whether it was superior to vaccination protection. It actually called on the White House, that tweet, to, quote, "follow the science and exempt people with natural immunity from upcoming vaccine mandates." Remember that we all went through this big debate at the time as to whether natural immunity should count or not in any sort of mandate type system in which you would have, almost like social credit, be able to board flights, many of the things that were floated at the time for interstate travel, etc. Anyway, by suggesting some people might not need this vaccination, the tweet could raise questions about the shots. So basically, Scott Gottlieb reached out and used a Twitter lobbyist to actually email the top point of contact in the White House, saying that the post was, quote, corrosive and that it would, quote, end up going viral and driving news coverage. So that email was actually found in a search of records that they were run over at Twitter last week as part of the Twitter files. All of this also kind of involves Alex himself, because we should all remember he was banned from Twitter and then actually unbanned after he was effectively able to prove through the discovery process, way before Elon even took over Twitter in the first place, that the White House, and specifically Andy Slavitt, who was working there at the time, mentioned him in private communications on Slack, some of which I've covered here before. So anyway, a lot more still needs to come from the Twitter files on Dr. Fauci and more. I believe Alex is working on that right now, but this was one of the first things, Crystal, that he decided to go and put out there.
Yeah, well, the other piece of this is Dr. Gottlieb is a CNBC contributor.
Yes.
And he also sits on the Pfizer board of directors.
Yes, that's the problem.
And this is not disclosed. So when he's doing his little contributorship, let me just, and pretending like he's just a neutral expert, obviously Pfizer has a deep financial stake in how people view the vaccines and how they feel about, getting a shot every year and all of those things, and the safety and efficacy, et cetera. So that seems like something that should be disclosed every single time that he's on air. And this is par for the course with not just CNBC, with CNN, with MSNBC, with Fox News, with all of them. They'll have these people on. They'll portray them as if they're just neutral experts, just calling balls and strikes based on their expertise. And you do one internet search and you find out, oh, they sit on the board of Raytheon. Oh, they sit on the board of Boeing. Oh, they sit on the board of Pfizer. And so they're not just offering you their unbiased opinion. They actually have a huge, direct financial stake in the commentary that they are ultimately providing. And this may be one of the, grossest parts, honestly, of cable news.
It actually, I'll show you even more why it matters, which is that internally within Twitter, after the complaint was forwarded to the Twitter strategic response team, it was internally flagged saying, quote, "please see this report from the former FDA commissioner." Again, ascribing him former FDA commissioner, not Pfizer board member with a financial interest in the mRNA vaccine. And actually what ended up happening is they ended up putting a, quote, tag on the tweet itself, but it arose all the way to that level. It actually happened again 1 week later after this, where Gottlieb tried to actually complain to the Twitter lobbyist, who then forwarded it specifically about a vaccine and lockdown skeptic, saying, quote, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but a viral pathogen with a mortality rate of less than 0% has cost, or approximately 0% has cost our children nearly 3 years of schooling." Now, I don't even know why Mr. Gottlieb would even object to that, because that's just objectively true in terms of both the mortality rate and schooling. It's also clearly a policy dispute, and last I checked, at least at the time, they didn't necessarily have a financial interest in lockdowns, I guess, outside of vaccination in the process. But again, shows you that they are internally flagging these tweets at his behest, all the while flagging them as done by former FDA Commissioner Gottlieb, not Pfizer board member.
And that one was too far even for Twitter. They're like,
even
yo, dude, we can't really take this one down.
But this is part of the issue, which is like, why is there this special program where blessed individuals get to forward that? You know, I don't also even understand this mindset. I see dumb stuff on Twitter all the time. I don't think I've ever flagged literally anything, because I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, like, who are these people who get up on their high horse and like start emailing powerful contacts? I mean, I guess, you know, I know some people. I could probably forward it to them and be like, Elon, please ban this person. Like, I can't imagine the mindset. So look, there's two parts of it. Like, maybe it's financially motivated. It's very possible, given his own Pfizer board membership, but also just this secret system, which you can just, you know, email a guy. I know a guy, effectively content moderation. Like, what kind of system is that?
Yeah, and also, you know, the larger level conversation about some things were very clear about COVID and the vaccine, and some things weren't. And some things continue to be subject to debate, and different studies show different things. And so to assert yourself as Twitter as like a definitive authority on COVID or any other, you know, medical information is a very, very dicey, let's just say, place to ultimately be. And Alex does point out, with regards to Gottlieb flagging that tweet about kids and school shutdowns, I think that was right before they were getting ready to approve the vaccine for 5 to 13-year-olds or whatever. So, you know, there was a potential interest in making sure people, you know, were interested in that vaccine uptake. Although I will say, you know, it's hard to separate out people's financial motivation and their just pure ideology. Yeah. Because
they very often go together.
This fits with the Freedom Caucus also, where, you know, is it because of their donors and what they want? Maybe. Is it because they're just truly like hardcore ideological actors? Sometimes it's the latter. Sometimes these are just like very radical, hardcore believers, and Dr. Gottlieb might have fallen into that category as well. I don't want to put that off the table.
Yeah, well, look, I don't either. All right, let's go to the next part here. C2, let's put it up there on the screen, because all of this matters in what context? Well, Moderna, releasing the news yesterday, plans to follow in Pfizer's footsteps and charge up to $130 for the COVID vaccine here in the United States, after they pivot from a focus on government contracts to commercial distribution centers. And I have a lot of questions about this. First of all, why would anyone even buy this vaccine at this point in the future when it was literally free? I don't really understand how that works. Same with Pfizer and many of the things that they have said about their own vaccine efficacy in terms of preventing infection and all of that, which was a major selling point to most of the people who even got the vaccine. For those who are wondering why I say that was the main impetus, look at the number of people who have their 4th or 5th booster. I think it's like 6 or 7% of the entire US population in terms of the belief in the vaccine efficacy, at least in the way that it's being promised now itself. So first of all, I don't see the commercial demand, but it also, you know, this just shows you just how disgusting the entire price system within all of this is. U.S. government technology is the one that created this vaccine. The United States government literally moved heaven and earth in order to make sure that the vaccine was created. The FDA literally fast-tracked and emergency use authorized it. And then some states actually mandated it for, you know, basically participating in society. In what world are they then allowed to turn around and make even more profit? Because they've already made billions of dollars in profit. at this point. So how are we possibly allowing this? Like, at the very least, the IP belongs to the U.S. government, and that's a good thing, because then we can have debates about it, we can study it, all of this. Instead, now it belongs, or it's not now, it has always belonged to Moderna and to Pfizer, who now want to commercialize it across the entire world.
The amount of disgusting price gouging that happens with big pharma is truly criminal, and yet we just allow it to happen. I mean, the amount we pay for any drug in the U.S. versus every other country in the world is astounding. Insulin is obviously the perfect example, but I'm reading here a Yahoo Finance report on Moderna and their prospects for 2023, and it all hinges on the vaccine. They made in 2022, they made some $18.4 billion on this thing. So this has been phenomenally profitable for them, and we were the ones, our taxpayer dollars, that funded the original research and the original technology. And guess what, guys? Pharma loves to tell you a story about all of the life-saving drugs they're developing, et cetera, et cetera. It's all total bullshit. Every new drug molecule has been developed in the past decade, has been developed with U.S. taxpayer dollars. This whole system is disgusting, it's corrupt, it's insane, and the media outlets and social media companies are all in on it.
Well, I mean, that's something Rogan actually always talks about, is the level of television advertising. Something like 70 or the vast majority of television advertising that you see. Look, I don't watch cable news, but on the rare occasions that I'm at my girlfriend's house or parents have it on, I'm like, oh my God! Like, ask my doctor about your doctor about this drug, and I'm like, well, hold on a second. Like, if I need the drug, like, the doc will just say that you need this. Like, why should I be asking him anything about this? Like, maybe I have restless leg syndrome or something like. Or he can just tell me it sounds like I have restless leg syndrome. You should.
Here's what works for that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is crazy, and it's a world that obviously we don't live in, and most of our viewers don't live in, because we don't even consume a lot of this stuff. But it's reference to my previous. You do not underestimate the millions of people that do consume network and cable television. And they are bombarded with the stuff 24/7.
By the way, remember how we talked about that Alzheimer's drug?
Oh,
that there was a lot
and they just approved it.
There was a lot of question about whether this thing really worked. The cost of it was astronomical. It was causing, just this one drug alone being added into Medicare's coverage plan was increasing premiums for seniors. I mean, it was this whole big deal. And there was actually an investigation that found there was improper coordination between the FDA approval board and the company. So there are problems at all levels. The one thing I do want to say is a lot of people understandably look at this disgusting corrupt system and are like, let me then pursue like alternative medicine remedies. That stuff is even less regulated.
It depends. I'll speak up.
It's even more corrupt.
I'll speak up for some alternatives.
There is no regulatory regime covering like these supplements and whatever, and all of these like chiropractors and all this stuff it's very loosely regulated in terms of what sort of results they can ultimately promise. A lot of these pills that you buy in the store, you don't even know what's in them. Nobody is checking to see that these supplements actually have in them what they claim to have in them, or that they're going to provide the benefit that they are supposed to provide.
No, that's definitely true, especially on supplements. The supplement industry in the U.S. is completely unreal. It's totally insane. There's actually I forget the documentary, it's escaping me at the time, that really goes into, it was actually Orrin Hatch, the senator from Utah, where a lot of these things are manufactured. That led to the fact that they don't have to be evaluated by the FDA. All they have to do is put on the bottom, these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Another reason, actually, you have to do a lot of due diligence. I take a lot of supplements every day, and you have to do a lot to try and find companies which actually test their stuff. Is what you're saying is actually in it? And anyway, it is a absolutely out of control industry in its own right. That said, I will speak up for some alternative medicine. Some like old wives' tales and all those things are actually true. That doesn't mean, though, that what you're being sold for them is what you're getting at the store. So that is a problem in and of itself.
Yeah,
so
I'm just saying, I think a lot of people, understandably, they're like, okay, well, this is corrupt. True, but at least there is some like clinical trials and some sort of government regulatory body. Alternative medicine over here, there's like basically none of that. So just keep that in mind as do your own research, et cetera, et cetera.
Do your own research.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.